Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, to the podcast. I'm doing a solo episode today. This inconsistently consistent is going to stop in 2024, but before Christmas I started a series called How to Be, and it's basically my version of becoming a better you, or a more comfortable you, and a more content you, and ultimately a more happier you. So I did How to Shed, How to Be You, and this episode is all about confidence. And I am doing this episode, it's so important to me because confidence is something I've really struggled to get my head around, and the past kind of 3 to 6 months I feel the best I've ever felt. I feel like I can take on the world, as cringe as that sounds. But I definitely used to be someone, and if you've listened to the podcast for the past couple of years, you will know that I used to be someone who looked at social media and wanted to do all of these vision boards and wanted to be like the girls I saw online, and actually it wasn't working for me. So this series is my reality of building an internal version of myself that I just feel super comfortable in. And part of that has been stepping back and stepping away from social media and switching off from all of the noise and building a version of self-love and a routine that I really enjoy. So I want to share 7 tips. There's actually an 8th bonus tip at the end, but 7 steps or 7 tips or pieces of advice that will hopefully help you become more confident, because I feel like we all want to be confident and I don't feel like a lot of us actually are. So yeah, here are my 7 tips. Just on that, I do feel like there's loads of advice out there. I am by no means a therapist. I don't ever want to share advice on psychological stuff, but I will talk about mindset. And I think what I don't love is pressures that we're all feeling at the minute. And the videos that I do online and on my socials about pressure are the ones that people seem to relate to most. And I think it's not fair. It's not fair on ourselves, and it's not fair to everyone else that everyone gets all of this pressure, but everyone feels it. So I feel like we're in a weird cycle. So I hope this video really gives you some real but also relatable advice of things that I'm feeling, but also things that you can actually implement into your life and hopefully help. Before we get into it, please like this video, subscribe. I want to get to 1,000 subscribers. I think I'm on about 300 and something, 330 or something like that. So yeah, please subscribe and like these videos, and please comment on what you want to talk about or how you're feeling in the comments, because then we can start a little chat and a little convo going. But yeah, let's get into it. So confidence, just to give you some context, I was massively insecure. I had no clue. It's even making me a bit emotional now, but I had absolutely no clue who I was. I was in situations that I didn't feel like I belonged there. With guys, I'd just become, my friends laugh at me, but I'd be completely mute. I'd go on a date and I just didn't dare speak. It's such an awful feeling. And if you have friendship groups like mine, a lot of my friends feel the same in different areas, whether it's work, whether it's dating, whether it's friends, whether it's family. Imposter syndrome, we all have it and we all feel it, and it's a real thing, and I think it holds us back so much. So I made a promise to myself last year to just do what I can to feel more confident. And I think a lot of it is your inner talk and how you speak to yourself. It sounds cliche, but it is. If you're constantly telling yourself you can't do something, the chances are you're not going to be able to do it. So it's all about your mindset and shifting and telling yourself that you can achieve something, but also going through a process that allows yourself to believe that you're good enough. You're good enough for the guy, you're good enough for your family, you're good enough for your friends, you're good enough to have the amazing career that you dreamed of. I'm not really a big fan of controversial, but vision boards and goals and setting all of this stuff. Again, I feel like it adds to pressure. And if you're like me, you don't react to pressure very well, but I feel like sometimes it's not obtainable. I think it's good to have a dream and then take baby steps to get there. But life is long. Like, I also think there's a lot of chat about life's too short, like life's long, like we have a long time, it's all a process. And I think the quicker things come, the quicker things go. So just, learn to slow down and learn to enjoy the process more than anything. Like, there's no point going through life feeling so pressured. So I digressed, but we're talking about confidence, so let's get back to it. So step 1 of being more confident. This may be an unpopular opinion, or maybe one that you're like, why? But just stop everything that you're doing and observe. So let's just keep using dating as an example because it's so easy. But if you're struggling with dating, you're feeling like you're not confident, you don't want to go on dating apps, you don't dare talk to guys in a bar or in a restaurant or wherever you are, or at work, just stop, because 1, you're removing the pressure by stopping, and 2, it allows you to actually stop and think about why you feel that way. So if there is a guy at work that you've got a bit of a crush on, or like for me, it was just guys in general, like even with friends, I wasn't myself with males like I was with females, and it really didn't sit well with me, and I didn't know how to get out of it. So what I did was I just stopped. I watched my behaviour, and I'd notice little weird quirky things that I would do when a guy was around. And then what I'd do is I'd go home and I'd write about it. Why did it make me feel like that? Why did I do that? Why did I react like that? Where has that come from? What happened in my life that has made me feel so insecure around males? Because it was, honestly, we can do another episode, or please ask me in the comments, I will tell you, but it was getting ridiculous to a point where I'd be like a shell of myself around guys, and it's just not okay. Definitely the first thing is to stop for a few weeks. It could be for a few months. I think a month is definitely a good enough time to just press pause and just watch your behaviour, because then you start to learn about the things that you need to implement to then move forward. Remember, this is all about moving forward. It's all about growing. It's all about the journey. So press pause, observe your behaviour, write things down, and figure out in your head how you start to overcome things. Another thing that will come from stopping is you'll start to realise what affects you. So I'll always use social media as an example, and I'm probably going to get some hate at some point. Like, why the fuck do you hate social media so much? I just feel like a lot of it's fake. And I feel like there's not one person I speak to where they go on social media and they come away feeling good. And that's why I have a weird relationship with it. I love it. My career's in social media. And I do like it. I just feel like mentally it has a negative effect on us. So another benefit of just pressing pause for a minute and observing is, do you feel a type of way or a bit weird when you come off of social media? Are there certain friends or family or people that you're hanging around with that don't make you feel good about yourself when you step away from them? Is work putting so much pressure on you that at the end of the day, you just feel exhausted and you don't feel good, and then you start to be reactive? So they're just a few different examples outside of dating, but it really does allow you to just process what's pulling away from your confident energy. Step 2 is writing down the person that you want to become. I mean this in a really realistic way. So who is she? What does she do? How does she spend her time? How does she talk to herself? How do you spend your weekends? How do you spend your evenings? What is your career? What is the type of partner you have? Do you want children? All of those things, because I think without that, and this is something that I kind of learnt the hard way, I would try and do things and I'd set goals for things, but I didn't know why and I didn't know where I was going. So I've always worried about being confident or trying to be confident, but I'm trying at something and I don't know where I'm going with this. Yes, I want to be confident, but what does confidence look like to me? And it's not about Googling confidence or Pinterest boarding confidence. It's about what is confident to me. So it could be feeling accomplished at work. It could be being able to have those conversations with family that you put off. It could be a really strong group of friends that you feel extremely comfortable around. It could be dating loads. It could be not dating at all, but approaching a guy at work that you've had a crush on for 6 months. It could be whatever you want it to be, but I think getting clear about where you want to go with this and what the journey will be and what that looks like, I think that adds an element of why, but also excitement for where you're going versus where you've come from. There is a caveat to writing down the end person. I'm not talking about a goal. You're a human being, you adapt, you change, our mindset shifts all the time, our moods change all the time. So I'm not talking about a goal of a person you want to be. Like, don't put Kim Kardashian on your wall and fucking pretend to be her every day. I'm not talking about that. I am talking about the person you want to become. I think when you add a goal to it, you then become fixated on something that's quite rigid. And I think when it comes to personality or shifting or anything that's kind of human, I think it takes away from it. It makes us so much more rigid. Like, this is about the journey. You have to enjoy the journey. So don't write goals of the person you want to be. Just write the person you want to be in a few months, in a few years' time, and then figure out how you get there. Step 3 is practicing mindfulness. And I don't mean meditating every day or vision boarding or goal setting every month or visualizing or running or walking in nature. I don't mean it. Well, it can be that stuff. But what I'm trying to say is that some of that stuff won't work for you. And I'm saying it from experience. So when I started out on this journey, I've been doing mindfulness for about 7 years now. And I said it up front, but I used to be someone who, I used to write meditate on my to-do list or visualize on my to-do list. Fuck that, it does not work. So again, we're human. We have different moods every day. We feel different every day. We feel different every hour. So you can't be so regimented. And I think for some people that works. For some people, breath work works every morning. Visualization works every morning. But what we're doing is we're spending time researching how to build a mindful life, or how to become more at peace with ourselves, or how to whatever, how to become more confident. But what the result of that gives you is meditate every morning, stretch every morning, drink your greens, visualize before bed. And let me tell you, honey, it's not realistic. It is absolutely not realistic. Things get in the way and life lives. And then what you do is you end up being hard on yourself because you can't do it. Why can everyone else do it and I can't? And I will tell you that not everyone else can do it. And everyone that you see on social media, they're not living in this routine because life does not work like that. So take what you want from it. If you like to visualize, if you like to meditate, if you like to journal, if you like to breathe, if you like to walk, like, do all of those things. I am by no means saying that doing these things is bad. I do them all, but I do them when I need to and when they add something and when I feel like it. Or I will journal maybe once a week, twice a week, when I feel like I need to get things off of my head, because that's, for me, when I find it the most beneficial. I will breathe just sometimes when I feel like I've had a heavy day at work, or when I don't want to get out of bed in the morning. I will just lay there and I'll just breathe for 10 minutes. But that's maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, when I just feel a bit overwhelmed. Stretching I find really good. Journaling, like I said, twice a week. Visualizing, I love visualizing, but I would say I do it maybe once a month, twice a month. And I love visualizing because I'm a super visual person. Some people can't do it and some people are scared to do it. And also I have a lot of DMs, or when I used to post a lot of content, I used to get a lot of DMs about people being quite anxious about visualizing. So if you are, please come into my DMs and we can chat about it, because I totally get it. And I can try and help you. I'd love to try and help you. So yeah. But visualizing, it allows you to be fun and be magical with your life. I know there's a saying, isn't there, about being delusional at the minute. But be delusional, like it's up to you. If you wanna fucking move to America or have this insane career, like that's totally fine and it's totally achievable. Like anything is possible and it's up to you. And I think in your mind is where you can start to believe that. So visualize these things. It's fun, like make up your life. It's great. Have goals, have visions, but don't put too much pressure on yourself where you're taken away from the journey. So practice mindfulness. And what mindfulness does for confidence is, again, it allows you to pause, it allows you to connect with yourself, it allows you to build a narrative and a communication between your mind and your body, and then you start to become one, and you start to become one person, and you start to feel more whole, and then that relays into confidence when you're out and about, because you've grounded yourself and you've connected with yourself, and there is no better feeling, especially when you're trying to become confident. So definitely practice mindfulness. Just do it in a way that is suitable for you, that works for you, and that adds to your life. Step 4 is a good one. It is deliver on your promises. I feel like I'm going to say this for every step, but it is so important to do what you say you're going to do. Now, I'm a bit of a hypocrite because sometimes I like these podcasts, for example, I put dates in my own diary to record. I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I don't feel like recording today, so then I'll push it back a day. It's fine as long as you get it done, but you have to start delivering on what you promised yourself you're going to do. So if you want to start a podcast, if you want to start a YouTube channel, if you want to start content creation, if you want to start a business, if you want to stop, if you want to start moving, if you want to, whatever you want to do, make a promise to start doing it and deliver on your promise. Now, practical advice for this is to not overwhelm yourself by giving yourself way too much to do. I used to all the time tell myself I'd do 100 things in a day. 1, it's absolutely not possible. And 2, I never wanted to start because I had so fucking much to do that I was never going to get to the end of my to-do list. So I was just overwhelmed. Now what I do is I pull it right back. What do I actually need to get done this week? So work's work, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. That's nothing to do with my personal life. Obviously it affects, but outside of work, it's my time. So Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, work. There you go. That's one blocked off. In my evenings, I used to be someone who I would jam-pack them with so much stuff for the podcast, or outreaching to guests, or writing scripts, or going to the gym, or whatever, seeing family, seeing friends. I can't cram it all in. Like, it was too much. So what I now do is Monday to Friday is work. My weekday evenings, I'll reply to emails, maybe do a bit of editing. I'll post on socials. I will speak to family, I'll see friends. Saturday, complete shutdown, no phone. I see friends, I hang out with my family, I catch up with people on the phone. Sunday is podcast day. And that chops and changes because lives and nothing's so regimented. But that kind of is a flow that works for me. And I know that things will get done on a Sunday for the podcast because that's the time that I set aside. It doesn't take me all day. It takes me probably about 4 or 5 hours in a morning. And then it's done for the rest of the week and I don't have to worry about it. And I feel so fulfilled that I've been able to do that. Or it means that I'm delivering on what I'm telling myself I'm going to do. And I've set myself up to win, not to fail. So if you are someone who is giving yourself 100 things to do, you want to start a business but you don't know where to start, or you want to get into fitness but you don't know where to start, or you want to start cooking but you don't know where to start, you want to see your family but you feel like you've got no time, take a step back, just chill. I feel like we all run around like headless chickens. We just need to chill and stop and pause for a minute, figure out what we want to achieve, how we want to achieve it, and then implement things into your diary and into your time outside of work or whenever you have time to do things and actually deliver them to a standard that you're really proud of, because again, that will add to your confidence. What I'm telling you here is these layers and layers and layers and layers, and everything that you do is proof that you are good enough. And that in turn builds your confidence quite organically, and quite quickly you will become someone who delivers on what they do, and you are that person you told yourself you were going to be. So don't give yourself too much to do, don't overwhelm yourself, don't be scared to ask for help, and deliver on what you promise yourself that you're going to do. Oh God, I've said it in step 3 and step 4, but this is also a really good one, and it's so important. But spend time with people who align to who you are and who make you feel positive and who add value to your life. I have done an episode, I'll link it below, on how to shed, and I live by it. This one thing alone has changed a lot about my life and the way I look at things. We all have heard the saying, you are, you are a sum of the 5 people that you spend the most amount of time with. I do fully believe in that, and I think it's so important to surround yourself with a bunch of different people for different reasons. So family are family, spend time with them. It's really important to connect to where you've come from. Friends, I think you should come away from your friendship groups feeling like you've just had fun, feeling like you've connected, feeling like you've been heard, feeling like you have things in common, feeling like they completely get you, feeling like they have your back, feeling loved. There's all of these different things, and I think I definitely was guilty of doing this, but there's so many people who do it, and it's really, really toxic, and it's really not a good environment for you to be in, that you're friends with people because you've been friends with them for 20 years, because you grew up with them, because you went to school with them, because they're from where you're from. People grow, and people grow apart, and people change. Like, you change as you get older. You're not the same person you were when you were 15, and I'm not saying like fall out with your friends from school or stop speaking to certain people. I'm saying that if you come away from your friendship group thinking, I'm not the same as you anymore, or I can't relate to what you're saying, or your mindset is so different to mine, or I have a dream and every time I spend time with you and I talk about it, you just completely shut it down. I've been in that situation before. My stance is to pull back. I would never tell you to get rid of them. I think if people are being toxic and people are being nasty and people are being negative, get rid of them. If people don't align with your dreams, that's fine. But if they're telling you that you can't actively achieve them, step back or don't speak to them about it anymore. I've always been a strong advocate of asking people for advice who are in a situation that you would like to be in. So if someone's doing really well in their career, at work maybe, someone who's a bit senior to you, ask them for advice, speak to them about your career. If you're struggling to date and your best friend's in a really good, healthy, happy relationship, speak to them about it, ask her about it. How did you start dating? What do you love about him? Like, how do you keep your relationship so fun? Like, those kinds of things. There's no harm in asking for advice. I actually think it's so much more helpful. And I think if you are constantly spending time with people who are dragging you down, that again relays back to your self-esteem. What happens externally mirrors internally how you feel. So I think really have a look at your surroundings and who are people in your life. There's some things out of your control. There might be people at work who you have disagreements with or who you're not really loving the energy from. Pull back from them. You don't have to get rid of everyone. I would never say that. But I think it's so important to be around people who align with you, have your back, who tell you that you can achieve these things, who, this sounds ridiculous, but who actually like who you are. There are so many people that can try and take away from that. There's a lot of jealousy, sometimes in the workplace, sometimes between friends, and especially online. Really spend a minute to look at who your entire surroundings are and be quite smart about who you're spending the most amount of time with, because it all affects your confidence. Step number 6 is to set yourself tasks. So remember in step 1, we talked about just completely switching off, just pausing for a minute. And step 6, we've gone through a few steps of looking at your surroundings, pausing, dreaming about who you want to be. So this is now all about taking those baby steps that we talked about in step 1 to becoming that person who you wanted to be in step 2. So if you want to be more social and it makes you socially anxious, because I know quite a few people, and I know a few people who listen actually to the podcast, feel anxious in social environments. They don't feel like they're good enough. They think that their friends don't want to ask them out for dinner. There's a loads of different reasons, and a lot of it is built in our head, and it's also a lack of self-esteem. Like, if we're just calling a spade, it is a lack of self-esteem, and no one should feel like that. And so if you want to be more social, you have to take a little bit of control and a little bit of responsibility. So how do you be more social? Do you want to invite a friend out for breakfast once a week? Or do you want to go bowling? Or do you want to spend time with family being social? There's so many different ways, but you have to take control. So set yourself little tasks. If you want to start off a podcast, for example, set a goal. Week 1, learn what it takes to build a podcast. Do you need microphones? Do you need a camera? Do you need lights? How does an RSS feed work, for example? And then week 2, how do I be consistent? Week 3, what am I going to speak about? Like, plan it all and set yourself little goals so that you are taking baby steps. Remember, this is a journey. It's a long journey. No one's giving you a timeline other than you. So set yourself a timeline. If you want to start a podcast in the next 3 months, that's a great amount of time for you to learn what you need to do, what you're going to talk about. Do you want guests? Do you want other podcasters? Seek a mentor. Like, all of these stuff, get help. How do you edit? Teach yourself how to edit. Again, that's then building proof, confidence of you actually achieving something, learning something, growing in a certain area, being more social, going to the gigs that you want to go to but you've previously been too scared or nervous to go to, eating out at a restaurant on your own, because I know there's a lot of chat about solo dating at the minute. So it's about building proof and setting yourself baby steps. Remember, we were talking about fitting too much into a week, for example. This is about taking smaller steps of progress to achieve an end bigger goal. And yeah, like I said, building proof builds confidence. There's also things that you can do, like, let's go back to dating, for example. A lot of people don't feel within their comfort zone. Some people do, some people don't, but it's taking these little steps and setting yourself tasks means that you have to at some point push yourself out of your comfort zone. If you really want to be in a relationship but you're too scared to talk to guys, something's got to change. Like, something's got to give. No one's going to pick up a guy and put him in your lap. Like, you have to challenge yourself in some way, whether it's making a dating profile, whether it's saying hi to a guy that you kind of find cute in the gym, or I don't know, going to all I can think about is Greg's, and I don't even eat Greg's, but going to Greg's and speaking to the guy behind the counter. It could be anything that you think is pushing your confidence boundaries a little bit, because again, it's proof and it's building up these confidence bricks that then allow you to become more freer and more alive and more full of self-esteem, and you deserve to be. So set tasks and stick to them. And then once you've done that task, set another one that pushes you a little bit further and a little bit further until you feel like you've really accomplished something. Step number 7 is fake it until you become it. So we've all heard fake it till you make it, and you've probably heard fake it until you become it. And when I first heard this, I was a bit like, I'm not really that sure I like it. I feel like you could quite easily learn to become a fake version of yourself. But actually, I love fake it until you become it now. I think it's a great way to build confidence. And when I was writing this episode, I had to put it in, because step 2 was all about writing down the person that you want to be. Step 7 is actually living that person that you want to be. Like, we've talked about building blocks, but I think fake it until you become it really allows you to be your own Sasha Fierce, and you don't have to create an alter ego, but it allows you to get into a headspace where you can go out and you can achieve anything. So, for example, me with the podcast, not so much anymore, but I used to get in my head and be like, I can't be a podcaster. Like, who the fuck am I to go and talk to these people about mindset and lifestyle and give advice? Actually, I faked it until I became it a lot last year, and now I feel really great. I sit in front of this camera and I feel so confident and so comfortable and so energized to share stories from guests, or to have conversations about things that we all struggle with, or to give you some empowerment to go out there and fucking be you, like, because we all deserve to be that. And so we all deserve to fake it a little bit until we feel like we are the actual person that we want to become. So if you want to start playing a sport, or you want to be on a netball team, it doesn't have to be something massive, or you want to start cooking for all of your friends on a Saturday night but you're a bit unsure about it, or you want to date the guy, or you want to have this amazing lifestyle with, I don't know, fucking Pilates on a morning, and then you want to go for brunch, do it. Like, I think it's fine. And I'm not being hypocritical here in that there are steps. You can't wake up every day and fake it. Like I said 100 times, we're human and we have feelings, but I think there is an element where you have imposter syndrome a little bit. It's okay to use the mindset and to use the thinking of fake it until you become it. Go out there and get your dreams. Like, it's absolutely fine. And if you ever need a cheerleader and you don't feel like you have one, please, I urge you, get into my DMs, comment on a video, like, talk to me, because I will always big up anyone who wants to achieve something and they don't know how to start. But definitely use the mentality of fake it until you become it. It allows you to stop making excuses. It allows you to step out of your comfort zone, build confidence. It allows you to make progress, again, build confidence, and ultimately deliver on the things that you want to achieve. And that all in turn builds confidence. So I'm all here for it, all here for it. The last and final step is therapy. Now, I wasn't sure if I wanted to include this or not, but these videos are from my personal experience, they're my personal advice, and I have been in and out of therapy for the past 3 or 4 years maybe, and I found a new therapist that was actually recommended by a friend this year, and I have never experienced such a positive, effective impact on me, my mind, my approach to being social, to my career, to dating, to the podcast, just to life. I know it sounds super deep, but just to life. And I think it takes a long time to find a therapist that works for you. And I also have had different therapists, and I've had different therapists for different things at different times in my life. And I found that really useful. But the therapist that I had more recently was very proactive. We do a lot of inner child work. We would do a lot of hands-on meditation, and she'd get deep, but it's obviously quite personalized because it's one-to-one in a room. And what it's allowed me to do is let go of all of that stuff that I've been holding on to for years. And what I didn't realize is that it was massively holding me back. Like, every time I try and step forward, all of these thoughts and doubts and feelings from when I was a kid would like drag me back, and I didn't realize that it was happening. So the reason I wanted to put therapy as the last and bonus step to this episode is because it's actually been a really pivotal turning point for me to become more confident, to step into who I am, to really be energized and excited about my life. And I know it sounds a bit woo, but it's really helped me massively. And you know, therapy can be expensive, and you might not have the means to do it, or you might have other financial priorities, and I totally get that. But I think if you do have the means to do it, I highly, highly recommend doing research or speaking to friends and trying to get a recommendation for therapy, because it's helped me. I feel like I've almost been fast-tracked to a bit further on in my journey, and it allows you to go in a room for one hour a week, or 1 hour every other week, or however long you want to do it for, and just be an outlet to share your deepest and darkest. And it's not very often we do that. It's actually quite unique. it's a unique setup, is therapy, isn't it? And it can be really daunting. You have to be vulnerable to get the most out of it. But I wanted to include it because personally, it's been a huge help for me when building confidence. Because if you think about it, you hold on to so much that we don't even realize, and you're subconsciously telling yourself you're shit and you can't do this and this happened to you, but why me, and da. And you have to learn to get out of your own head. And so yeah, highly recommend therapy for anyone who is fortunate enough to be able to have access to it. So we reached the end. Thank you so much for listening to this. I really hope that you found value. I hope that you enjoyed it. And I hope that you are really relating to these. I think we all massively deserve to be confident and feel confident in ourselves and feel comfortable enough to go out there and be who we want to be. And so yeah, I really hope you found value in this. If you are enjoying them, please like the video, please subscribe, because I know you hear it on every single YouTube video that you listen to, but it helps so much. If you're listening to the audio on podcast, please click the follow button. Again, it helps massively, and I want to get these podcasts and these videos out to as many people as I can. So yeah, please like, please follow, please subscribe, and please come back next week because I'm on a mission to be consistent. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. Love you.